Hey, what's up, guys? It's Chase, and welcome to another episode of the ELAV8 podcast. Today, Sam and I are hosting guest Sasha Zivanovic, and we're so excited to have him on because we discuss everything from the content streaming wars to is AI Orwellian and nudging our thoughts, as well as, did the pandemic shift our content consumption habits? Check it out.
I don't understand. The moment you build a platform that is generating revenue, you cannot disrupt that platform. So Netflix used to sell these servers to internet providers that would cache the top 40, 50, 100 movies, whatever it was. And the internet provider used to put that box in their head end to limit the cost of the bandwidth because they were paying bandwidth. So they would cache it there.
In the gold rush, the people who made the money are the ones who sold the shovels. So the question is, what is the shovel in the coming content arms race? And is it infrastructure or is it curation?
He was talking about that AI is going to control us. It's almost Orwellian what he's suggesting. It's like a new form of newspeak, right? What she's like postulating. Do you believe that the AI and the algorithms are going to funnel us in a direction? Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jace, and we're here live on the ELAV8 podcast, and I'm here with my co-host, Sam Messman. I mean, he's the man, the myth, the legend, but we're both incredibly excited because we have Sasha Zivanovic. I messed it up. I already messed it up. I messed up. By the way, for everybody that's watching, the reason why this is funny and why he's laughing is I've known this guy for 10 years, and we had the revelation yesterday. I've never said your last name.
It's like 10 years. It's actually 10 years like this month or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like this month. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. But, we did a little, introductions before the podcast. So let's just roll right into it. Sasha, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do. And I can't wait to get started.
Wow, that's a tough one. I don't want to bore I could talk for the whole podcast on what it is. In short, Nextologies is a digital trucking company. So I'm the CEO, co-founder of a technology company that focuses on specifically video delivery, similar to what we're doing here, doing podcasts, but more of live video delivery to traditional cable operators, satellite. We're in the digital world. We're obviously delivering to all the major digital platforms as well. And we're fundamentally moving bits around the world instead of actually moving real goods like a real trucking company would do. We're a digital trucking company and taking from the factory like this. This is the factory that we're here making content, but it needs to go places. And usually when it's live, it needs to go to multiple places. So we have major partners like UFC, WWE, Associated Press. If you watch the news, AP is an aggregator of news. If you watch it anywhere in the world, 9 times out of 10, it's coming through the Nextologies network, amongst a whole bunch of other players that are out there. So I was blessed to start at a television company that inevitably turned into Nextologies. But the joke is I started in the media space in 2007. And I haven't worked for 17 years now because I love what I do so much. We're talking about being nerds here before the podcast. I'm a nerd at heart, and somebody was paying me to play on a computer to do some problems. And next thing you know, I'm a CEO of a multi-million-dollar organization.
Sam, get in there,
I'm excited. Let's go. This is it. I heard you were coming on, and I was like, this is awesome. I have a billion questions. But we're going to start with a very simple one, easy to answer, which is with all of the various players gearing up to win the global chessboard of content distribution, whose platform are we going to be watching? Who's going to win? Why are they going to win? And how is this content going to be presented? And I'll sit back for the next hour.
Wow. All right. So this is strictly my opinion. And anyone, don't hate me, don't flame me, don't kill me, whatever it is. Strictly my opinion of being in this space and looking at the experience that I've had and where I started. And I started in 2007 in this space. I was hired as an assistant to the head of IPTV. We call it streaming. We call it OTT now. We call it Netflix, whatever you want to call it. But we were building that technology in 2006, 2007, and I came on as an assistant, and I saw the landscape. I was able to see Netflix start from nothing to, being everywhere and sort of why they cornered the market. So early on, you take companies like Netflix, why they're so successful, they built it themselves to support themselves. And and why that's pivotal, I'll get to in a moment. But when you look at sort of the marketplace and what's available out there, you're going to end up having aggregators. Again, we have them already, right? The Fubos, the Hulus, the you name it, platforms that are out there. They're just modern day cable operators. What the cable operators should have turned into, which they didn't, is what everybody's trying to fend for and fight for now. And unfortunately, it's a race to the bottom, right? A race to the bottom on the dollar, on we're sort of who can do it cheaper, who could do it more cost effective. And the winner will be the company that embraces the technology themselves and builds it and maintains it and supports it themselves.
Can you expand on that? Because what does that mean? Like, what are they building and expanding?
Look, you want to start a platform. You know what? Sam and Jace, two extremely intelligent individuals. You have contacts through the entire media industry. You know what? We want to make our own platform. We got content. We can have access to it. Let's build our own platform. Well, Jace, Sam, I don't know if you guys are developers or programmers. You got to start from somewhere, right? So what do? You go look for a company to go and build it for you.
Mm-hmm.
When you look for a company to build it for you, guess who controls your destiny? That company. See, what a lot of people take for granted, what they don't understand, oh, I want to make an app, or I want to make a web page, or I want to make all that. People don't understand the moment you build a platform that is generating revenue, you cannot disrupt that platform. So let's say, you're spending, let's take an arbitrary number out of thin air. You're spending $10,000 a month to build and maintain an app. You will always have to pay $10,000 or if not more over time to build and maintain that app, because you got iOS updates, you got Smart TV updates, you got Android updates. You need to maintain your app and continue to build it and continue to make these changes, different screens, different resolutions, different formats. All of these things you need to take under consideration. And if you're using a third-party company to handle and satisfy that for you, not unlike Nextologies, because that's what we do, it's a recipe for disaster in this ever-changing world of a race to the bottom on what they charge the end user.
Well, so I have a couple things that would disrupt, or not disrupt that question. I guess a follow-up question to that I have then is, in the event that we have a race to the bottom, right, and the infrastructure at a certain point is just commoditized. At that point, for me, my philosophy becomes, well, then where does this go if you are, in the gold rush, the people who made the money are the ones who sold the shovels. So the question is, what is the shovel in the coming content arms race? And is it infrastructure or is it curation? Like, and that's the question. Is it eyeballs? Like, what are the shovels in the future?
Infrastructure. That's why Amazon's so successful. It's because of infrastructure. They built the infrastructure because that's the hardest part. Content, don't get me wrong, creating content is ridiculously tough. Don't get me wrong there, right? I'm a huge person. I don't create content. No way. But the infrastructure portion is the heaviest lift. When I hear companies moving away, hey, we're going to get rid of all this infrastructure, we're going to save all this money, we're going to go to Amazon and just do it on Amazon. And I'm like, have you ever done the math on what it takes? One server, to buy one server, you could pay for that server in 3 months of operation inside Amazon. That's just a hardware expense. Yes, you have internet. Yes, you have electricity. Yes, you have rent, brick and mortar. When you start doing the math, it makes no sense for a smaller organization to even consider going to Amazon. But if you're a business that needs instant scalability, yeah, go to Amazon. That makes the most sense. But in the long term, use it as a stopgap measure. You should be building your own infrastructure. You should be building your own solutions. You should manage your own technology, not unlike why Netflix did. And I have this debate. Sorry to Sam, just to finish the point.
No.
I have this debate, and I try to tell people, and I'll ask you guys. I'm going to reverse it back to you guys for a second. And one at a time. Jace, tell me, why do you think Netflix is so successful?
Well, they're the first mover advantage, right? They were one of the early players to be on the field, right? We know that it was a competition mainly between them and another company called Cinema Now, and we know what happened with that. But I mean, you really set me down a rabbit hole in my mind, and Sam's probably going to laugh. And I have one question for you. I'm really coming right back right at you. You talked about infrastructure. I completely believe everything you just said, and that's why I believe that Apple and Disney are, so well established, as well as Amazon, because they don't actually have to be profitable, right? They literally can sell as many things off of Amazon, or they can sell theme park tickets, or iPhones. You pick your poison, and they have a revenue stream that can support their streaming business. But I guess the infrastructure piece that I'm most curious about and want to get your take on as a futurist, because I know you're a futurist, is about decentralized physical infrastructure, right? And I know that's a buzzword that's starting to lightly touch the surface, right? But like you have companies like Helium, right? Helium is a mobile provider, and they're starting to allow people in their homes to essentially purchase these antennas and host them at their house. And it's building a coverage map. Is it as established as something like Verizon or some of the other incumbents? No, but those same technologies are starting to sprout up with something like servers. And I'm actually really curious what you think that's going to do for something like the CDN industry, where you're saying it's a race to the bottom. So are costs going to come down? Is latency going to get better? Is edge cloud compute going to get better?
Wow. So a whole bunch of different things. I'm going to stick on the Netflix one for a moment. I'm going to dive right down that hole, right? So, I'm going to hold that. Sam, why do you think Netflix is successful?
For me, I think they were the first ones that truly got you out of the video store and got the content into your home without you having to leave the house.
Okay. Both answers are absolutely accurate. The core fundamental of why Netflix became so successful, and the immediate answer that I normally get, it's the content. That's what I normally hear, right? It's the content, right?
House of Cards.
Today, it's the content. But before it was, they built it themselves, and they were on every single platform. So answering your original question, Sam, on who's going to win the war or the streaming wars, the people who control and limit their expenses on the technology front, own and control that supply chain, and then inevitably deliver it better than anyone else. Netflix used to sell these servers to internet providers that would cache the top 40, 50, 100 movies, whatever it was. And the internet provider used to put that box in their head end to limit the cost of the bandwidth, because they were paying bandwidth. So they would cache it there, and then the Netflix app would pull locally from the ISP. Right? These are the innovative things that they were thinking so far ahead, which made them successful and took them down the road. Now, content is the big game now, but inevitably the answer to Sam's original question is whoever controls their own destiny will become the winner here. If you're licensing and buying content from other people, and Netflix figured that out, right? Hey, no longer paying $10,000 an episode, it's $100,000 an episode. Well, let's make our own content. Control your own destiny is the answer to Sam's first question.
Well, but okay, so then if it's control your own destiny, I'm going to touch on what Jace touched on and make the question even harder, which is when we talk infrastructure. My question is, you've got to create that entire content pipeline, which is digital Ethernet infrastructure. So what are we settling on there? Which then leads into that's not only in creating the content and getting it up, but it's also getting it down, delivering it, and serving it, which currently is a disaster if you're on the cable side, is a bad codec if you're on the 4K side, is not built for HDR, which is the thing that everyone's building for, and then does not equate to the resolution that's going to be in an immersive headset, which is where Apple's building for. So you've got screens, you've got headsets, you've got bad codecs, and you've got standards that nobody has settled on Ethernet infrastructure that is 1 gig, 10 gig, 50 gig, 100 gig, or 200 gig in possibilities. Because I used to have a server company that was for video, and I know way too much about Ethernet, and I would prefer to forget it. But when I think about all of this, right, and we talk about infrastructure, like the things that actually make up this content pipeline are staggering. So it's hard to figure out where to even start. But I'm curious, as a person who has to deal with all of this and is seeing it in varying, who's managing the trucks for that, what is your take?
So answering both of your questions sort of in tandem here. So here's what you got. So it's a long one. It's gonna be a long rant. I'm sorry.
I just want to let you know from the bottom of my heart, I'm so excited. Please, we'll send it.
So
circuit.
here's how you go, right? So I live by one fundamental motto. Technology seems to solve everybody's problems, right? We can somewhat agree on that. There's an app, make an app for it, right? Oh, we're doing a video call. Imagine this, having this, right? Technology solved that problem. But every problem that technology solves opens two other problems behind it. That's the fundamental rule that I live by. So you're opening up great cans of worms, Sam. Absolutely. Format this, resolution that, infrastructure this, not able that. Yeah. Welcome to modern day society and having to figure out how to make it done, how to get it done. It's a pain in the ass. It's not easy, right? You have all the different variants you need to satisfy, and you need to double down on that learning process or pay a company like Nextologies to go and do that for you. But if you want to be successful, don't pay me, build it yourself and invest in people, because people last a lifetime. Technology expires roughly every 18 to 24 months. So if you're going to spend any money, spend it on people, employ more people, make them better, just invest in those people to get past those hurdles that you're talking about, right? It's a very high level answer that I'm giving you so you understand that there is no real answer there. You need more people to solve that problem. But hang on a second. Didn't we go down the technology route to make it easier to, assembly line this stuff? Everyone was afraid of losing their jobs because of AI, this and all that other stuff. AI is not going to solve that problem. You need people. You need people to go and do it. At the end of the day, you need people. And guess what? You need more people now to solve the problems than you had yesterday, because the demand is going through the roof. Looking at TikToks and Instagrams and Facebook and Reels and all that stuff that's out there. There's so much content being created out there that you need to satisfy every possible platform. You can't ignore any platform, because you need to squeeze every penny out of that content that's going down that pipe, because the content itself is no longer valued on the pipe that it's traveling along. So it's a very, again, high level answer, not specifics into your questions, but it's a giant effing mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. And that's what standards were for. When you look at the DVB standard, the digital video broadcasting standard that was adopted globally, I think it was at 2001 when we did that big transition. Remember that? I don't know if you guys are old. Sam, you might remember a little bit. I'm giving you a little bit credit because you have a beard. When we went from analog antennas to digital antennas, that was a digital transformation that everybody had to have digital TVs. There was a standard that was created that it supported. Technology made it easier. Open up VLC, open up FFmpeg, and do all this stuff. Yeah, it's all easier. Opened up so many problems behind it, and technology is just like I'm not going to swear, like a-holes, right? Everybody's got one. Everybody's going to have a variant of how they think it should be done, and they settle either on the lowest common denominator, which is usually the cheapest, or something that's over-engineered with so many options that you don't need, but we have to do it for compliancy. Guess what? Because that compliancy was too complicated, here's a variant of.
Man.
So that's a little bit of a rant, and I could talk for a long time on that, and I hope I got you some form of an answer on that, Sam.
Totally, but I'm going to throw it to Jace because I want him to do the follow-up on it.
Well, I mean, so I just can't gloss over something you said because it's so true. And for everybody that's watching, I'm actually a customer of Nextologies and Sam's old company. And you said something that's really important. And I don't want people to think that you just said it as a throwaway line, which is your investment in people. And Sam's the same way. I can attest, I've met employees of Nextologies and I've met employees of Sam's old company, Jellyfish. And something you both have in common, which I think you both take pride in, is, man, the people that you work with, they stay with you, one, for a long time, and two, they're just actually fun to hang out with. And this is like, somewhat outside the bounds of, being professional. I will say that hanging out with both teams, because I'm hanging out with both teams, both parties, Nextologies and Jellyfish team, you guys are a lot of fun. I'm just going to say you guys are a lot of fun. So
I think I can reciprocate probably with Sam here. Is it's about passion. It's about passion to solve problems, and that inevitably we are called nerds because we are problem solvers. Yeah, we like our things. We love our NFTs. I love that NFT back there. We love our nerdness because we're unique enough, because we know how to do it better than anyone else. We're that gateway, or the industry calls them SMEs, subject matter experts, as an acronym, SME. We are collective, the subject matter experts in our realms, and no answer is wrong.
Yeah.
Right. No answer is wrong here. How it's done, who's this? There's no answer that's wrong. It's a solution to a problem. If someone can go and do it better, go right ahead, my friend, and figure out how to do it better. But there's no silver bullet. Technology got rid of the silver bullet.
Oh, I'm going to disagree with you there. There are definitely some wrong answers that I've heard over the years when it comes to certain things. And when you listen to the wrong people, you watch things go bad in a hurry. And this is the
school is expensive. It's either you're paying a real school or you're paying someone else to mess up the problem for you and people guiding down the right path. I think we're sort of saying the same thing. There are stupid things that are out there, but fundamentally we're problem solving. And as long as it solves a problem, it's a win. It may not be the way that you and I would have done it, but if it solved the problem, hell, it solved the problem. That's when you have different formats, right? When you have, why is there a 4K this and a 4K that and a 4K this? Why? Well, because somebody made a mistake and bought 1 million pieces of a Snapdragon chip that needs to go into a phone that just so happens doesn't have that variant of what's required to decode that 4K on that. Oh, guess what? Instead of, fixing that $100 million mistake, they got to change the spec so that it works on the device. It's easier to go that way instead of there. And that's what I've seen happen, and the pushing all of those variants. Like, the MKV video container, we've all encountered MKVs, is the far superior container across all of the different containers that exist out there. But it was over-engineered. Let's just stick with an MP4. It's easier. Let's just stick with that one, right? And so these are the variants you have. And technology made it easier to make that available. Information, the internet made it easy to expose these codecs and these variants and those solutions that are out there. And that inevitably goes back to what you were asking earlier, Sam. How does one handle that? And it's unfortunately, you have to embrace all of the different variants of. That's it.
So I'm going to backtrack just real quick because you said something about 8 minutes ago because we went off on a nice little tangent, and you talked about AI, right? And this is a common theme amongst Sam and myself when we're talking privately as well as on our first podcast, right? And you said something that was really nice. You said that you think that AI is not going to decrease human workload, that it's going to increase it. So I actually want to touch with this on Sam for a second because we've been talking ad nauseum about it. Sam, what do you think about that?
Well, my personal view on AI is you're either going to leverage it towards pushing you in the direction you wanted to take your career and leveling up and riding the functionality it enables for you, or someone else is going to control you with it. And they are going to force you into basically a little slavery box where you're stuck to them and you can't get out. And I think, and there's a lot of people who are trying to do that. And I want to work with the people who want to empower people to make it work for them. And there's two ways it's going to go, and it'll probably go both ways simultaneously.
So,
and probably even a third way in there that we haven't even thought of in there. Look, I fundamentally, I'm going to agree with you on that. I think that's, wow. AI is tough. AI is tough because I've seen some really good AI. If you use Photoshop and Premiere and what's that cool one that actually makes videos now? I'm like, oh my head.
Sora. Sora.
So amazing.
So I'm going to ask you a question because I'm actually curious. I don't want to get too far away from it because I really want your thoughts on this. Is Sam said something very specific, and this is a Sasha moment that I really want. Is he was talking about that AI is going to control us. It's almost Orwellian what he's suggesting. It's like a new form of newspeak, right? What she's postulating. Do you believe that the AI and the algorithms are going to funnel us in a direction that is chosen by the developers themselves. I mean, we recently saw this, and I'm going to toss it to you, is Google had a lot of backlash recently because of how it was directing certain initiatives a certain way, right? So, reiterating Sam's point, I think he was trying to make, do you believe we're drifting into an Orwellian box?
I think we're already so deep in the box that we're forgot that we're in the box.
Wow. Okay.
That's good.
That was
Elaborate.
great. Okay, just
It's
so we're
the truth,
clear.
though. If you don't
Yeah.
think technology itself is already controlling you, oh, now AI is gonna. Oh my God, we're already in the box, guys.
Yeah.
What's in the box? Us. We're in the box.
Oh my God, I needed this moment. You have no idea. Sam and I have been living within an echo chamber for the last like 2 years talking about the same concept. And it feels nice hearing someone else say it.
But it's true though. Like what is, like, define the box, right? What is the box? We are so. Oh man, this is really deep stuff here, man.
Let's go. Let's go. That's why we're here.
We're so deep in the box already that AI isn't going to change anything. Like I said earlier, understanding the technology and how to handle it, how to use it, what to do with it. This story of oh my God, Terminator, and it's going to take over the world is absolute nonsense. It's not going to happen, because you have to understand technology enough to know that it's not physically, you're breaking laws of physics. It's not possible to get there, right? Let's have this conversation when Moore's law breaks. Let's have this conversation when we hit the limit of the reduction of the chipsets. Let's have that conversation again, and then we'll say that. Then I'll be worried, right? Or better yet, which I hope happens, and it's a little contradictory. I hope happens. We need to break a law of physics to get past our restrictions on the dependence of electricity. And you're worried about AI? Are you normal?
So,
right? There's nothing to worry about there until we figure out how to store electrons and store electricity better and more efficient. Then I'll be worried.
So I have a question on this. Actually, Sam, I saw you raise your hand. You want to go for it real quick? I'm not going to forget my place.
Okay. Well, only to say the thing that I'm worried about is the intentionality of the creators. And right now, I think many of the creators have a race to the bottom mentality on how to exploit every single aspect in human for the last possible cent versus actually solving real problems in the world. And until the intentionality of how it's being used shifts towards something that actually leverages and improves humanity versus people just using it to get rich, I think we're going to have big problems.
Oh, there's truth, and you're absolute. There's truth in your statements, 100%. There's absolute truth in everything that you've said, but I could apply that to any other technology that's there. It's just made it easier. It's just made it easier. It's definitely made it easier with the tools that are available. No doubt. It's definitely made that process easier, but that's been around since the dawn of time, right? That's been around from going back to your gold rush statement earlier on, where people found a way to make fake gold, right? So they're using the availability of knowledge to trick people into doing other things. AI is going to help make that easier. It's happening now. It's ridiculous that what's coming out. We all probably read the same posts online. So what's coming out now is absolutely insane. But that's remember what I said earlier, the fundamental rule that I live by: every problem that technology solves opens up two problems in behind it. Right? It's the same, can be applied to the same statement, right? Same thing that we're looking at. AI is going to help do a lot of good things. It's going to open a couple of bad things in behind it.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to a second. You're talking about you're not going to really worry about this until we start breaking the laws of physics, right? So I'm not going to talk about breaking laws of physics, but I'm going to talk about potentially bending them for a second. All right. We operate right now with the mentality that we live here on this planet, right? We live on Earth, right? A lot of initiatives by 2030, 2035 between that window are going to start migrating off planet into space. There's a company called Varda, I think it's Varda Space, right? And the whole premise of that is to eliminate friction and to make energy more available to the things they're trying to do, right? So, for example, we have a huge, I think it's called a superconductor problem. I'm probably butchering this, but basically, for you to have the least amount of resistance in an object, a metal object specifically, you have to decrease its temperature, right? And that takes a lot of energy. Well, if we start shifting, right, a lot of these processes to space, it will greatly like alleviate that problem as well as make energy more abundant. So I guess my question for you, if you're worried about things like physics slowing this down, what happens when we move off planet and we have way more energy available to us because we're mining, other planets, as well as we're operating in a zero gravity atmosphere?
We got away from content creation in a hurry.
I'm sorry, I get really excited about this stuff.
We could talk wild on this. Valid point, Jace. Yeah, in a vacuum, i.e. space, there's a lot of extra capabilities or things that we can do more with. But let's start doing some math, right? Let's do some math. Understanding how much energy it takes to take human into space.
A lot.
So if you start doing the math of the amount of people that we would need in space to actually satisfy some form of real existence, let's call it, you'd pretty much burn up every resource on the planet to get a significant amount of people into space to actually do anything, right? So that's still going back to the root statement of breaking a law of physics to be able to sustain that. Yes, we might be able to overcompensate and have abundance of energy to get a payload into space. But once it's up there, you need people to operate it. Maybe you're using AI, maybe there's some other things that you're doing, but fundamentally our core problem is breaking laws of physics. To make that a reality, to be able to maximize what could happen up there, you need to store energy better. I encourage you guys to Google what a Leyden jar is. Fundamentally, we are still operating Leyden jars in our pockets, right? That's your first battery that was ever existed. Fundamentally hasn't changed. We're just mixing different chemicals and different types of states to make that storage of electricity better. We need to solve that problem. Then we worry about AI. Then we can start talking about space. Then we can start talking about all the really cool stuff that's out there that we've dreamt about, that we've read about, that we've watched. But we need to fix that. So I'm not, yes, great, yes, cool. Could be some really cool stuff that comes down the line, but we're way away on it. There's no real fundamental leaps in battery technology or harnessing electricity technology efficiently enough to be viable for us as humans to do that. So the only things that we've been doing, if you notice, we start dropping the voltages that we're operating our technology on. We're bringing those voltages down so we can be more efficient. Still haven't broken a law of physics yet, right? And one of the fundamental laws is trying to get into space, trying to break Earth's gravity.
Hey, I just want a EV to be able to charge every couple hundred miles,
At 5 minutes. Spend 5 minutes to charge it, and I'm okay with.
I'm in the cold.
Right, where I'm in Canada, man. I know all about.
It's cold in space.
Cold in space, yeah, but cold in space. Again, going back to battery technology. How do we make that more efficient? So a lot of different things that we could go deep down a rabbit hole on, but I'm sure there's other topics we can go deeper into or sort of more entertaining for people. But I think we have to break a law of physics to worry about AI, break a law of physics to explore space better.
So I had a through line, and I'll admit it's weak, right? I'll admit it's weak, and it's mainly SpaceX and how they're delivering payloads for what they're trying to do with Starlink, because I wanted to bring it back to content ultimately, which is how does that affect the world you live in, right? So we have this global essential like CDN. I mean, it's an ISP actually. It's not even a CDN. It's an ISP that is now readily available to anyone on the planet, and they can reach the most remotest regions. And I think latency can get down to 20 milliseconds. So how does that affect content, this globally available technology?
Well, Sam, do you want to dive into that, or you want me to go first on that?
I'll let you go first because I have something I want to tether it to.
So I am ecstatic that Starlink exists. I um uh, Capacity is your constraint. That's really what your issue is. Until he's got the lasers beaming content up there between satellites, your biggest issue that you're going to have, yet again, I'm going to say this again, is a limitation in the laws of physics of what you're able to get into a modulation in the satellite in RF radio frequency RF space. It's called mod cod, so modulation conditions. They've extended the limit of what they're able to do mod cod wise with that antenna and the technology that's available today with the radio spectrum that's available to the users. And yeah, they've gotten it down to about 20 milliseconds, but the handoff from one satellite to another satellite is still problematic, right? You still have many variables that you need to take under consideration, but it satisfies the problem for regions that have no internet whatsoever. How's that going to affect content? It's the exact same way. You're going to clog the bleep out of it, and it's not going to be worth the content's going to be down there, and they're going to start, and they already have their, call it tariffs or rates, 60 gigs or 100 gigs or whatever it is worth of bandwidth consumption. Then we go back into Sam's statement. Oh, guess what? We got to invent a new codec. We have to invent to be better on satellite, and now we're in whatever H269 or whatever is going to be the next one in the future. So it's a chicken and egg problem. Got to break a law of physics.
Well, let me take that, which got, I want to bring this back onto planet Earth, right? We're going to go from the satellites. We went to the galactic breaking laws of physics down to now, how is this going to legitimately affect our current infrastructure amongst humans, right? And how is this going to disrupt that? And what I mean by that, right, is bringing this back to like the concept of Hollywood and whether Hollywood is even like a concept that we're going to have in a couple of years, because of everything we just said. There's no reason to shoot content in Hollywood at this point, especially as people continue to move out of Los Angeles. It's just an overpriced, ugly, dirty city that just keeps getting worse. And so the question,
you're not angry, are you? You seem a little bit angry.
No, I just visit. I was there for 10 years. I watched it. I loved it. And I watched
I'm messing with you. Obviously. I get it.
But what I'm asking is, I have a lot of friends in Hollywood and I have a lot of friends in Los Angeles. And the big thing that everyone's freaked out about, if we're going to talk about everyday human concerns, is, okay, AI, literally my wife just showed me an app where she made through AI just like random bluegrass songs about our members of our family in the honeymoon we just took, and like that's happening, right? So if you compound that with what the everyday actor is trying to do to grind out to make a living and come in and do these auditions and the never-ending self-tapes that happen and all of the AI apps that are disrupting marketing and all of these various things. And we have these hubs in these cities where these people live and have established ivory tower communities for content creators that now are, because of internet access and because of worldwide education on how to make content, like this is all completely disrupted. Like the way a Hollywood blockbuster is made is like building the pyramids in terms of the workflow stupidity that people apply to things that actually have been solved exponentially faster and will be increasingly exponentially solved faster because of AI. So my question is, from a sociological and anthropological perspective, what is this going to do to Hollywood?
Yeah, so it's already done it. It's already done it, right? What has it done? So I'm going to answer sort of in twofold here, sort of a couple different things in what you were asking. That connectivity and access to information has already affected us. We just aren't really receptive to it. I'm going to make a controversial statement. That's not my position on things, but I'm just going to make a statement. You got people who, global warming. Oh my God. Oh, global warming, right? Well, okay, maybe you're right. But what information are you basing it on? And I'll get to my point. It'll make sense. Trust me. You're basing it on recent information that you have, because only recently we have access to know that there is a tornado in the middle of nowhere, United States, because we have access to information. We have access to technology, access to all of this information because of the connectivity. to get more information about what's happening. But how do you know that 100, 200 years ago that there wasn't still tornadoes in that exact same area? You can't unequivocally come to that conclusion. So access to information generates new problems, which generate new solutions, which goes back to my fundamental rule of every problem technology solves opens up two problems behind it. So the fear of, is there Hollywood at the end of this? AI and all this, oh my God, the sky is falling. Oh my God. It's changing. Is it falling? No. It's just changing the way that we do business, the way we do commerce, the way we create content, create media. It's just changing.
Yes, I agree. But I think what I'm hinting at, right, is the sky might be falling in a couple places, but then the sun may be shining in a bunch of others.
Yin and yang,
because of that exact.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And so if you had to look into your crystal ball, we know maybe where the sky is falling, but where do you think the sun is shining?
Yeah, but it's always been doing that. Right? It's always been doing that yin and yang balance through life, right? Going back to Asian culture and that balance in life, it's always been happening. Now, where, looking in the crystal ball, I don't necessarily have that answer for you yet, but if I had to pick it, if I had to look at it, the need to create, and don't hate me, cinematographers, but the needs to create this amazing masterpiece of work, we need to spend 3 months on this scene only to make it look fabulous, to convey the director or the producer's vision. Is that really necessary considering the volume of content that now exists today? So I live by the motto of, who moved my cheese, right? It's a short book. The cheese is moving, right? We as a collective, content creators, content distributors, technology companies, it doesn't matter who you are, always need to be looking for cheese. You always need to be looking for the next thing. Don't be complacent. So my answer really is, yeah, maybe it's moving to another region, another country, another way. And that's what technology has given us the ability to do that.
So I'm gonna ask you a question because I know specifically you dealt with this. Do you feel like the pandemic escalated what Sam is hinting at? Because I know for a fact that Nextology's created so many, I would say, revolutionary, simple solutions to allow creators to do what they want to do, which is create. So do you think the pandemic escalated this?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll tell you something. I'll tell you this. We've all watched crazy movies that, end of the world this and end of the world that. And what was the Brad Pitt, not Brad Pitt, was it Brad Pitt? The Contagion?
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Same idea, right? This virus killing everybody. Everybody's dying left, right, and center. I'll tell you this. This is strictly my opinion, guys. There's nothing to substantiate. It's just strictly subjective, right? As a race, the human race, the Homo sapiens that exist on this planet, we're able to get past one of our most modern day pandemic, this modern day problem, and we didn't go bat poop crazy, okay? And we came out of it. I'll honestly tell you, other than some form of nuclear related issue or some sort of thing that we haven't seen trying to break laws of physics, we're gonna make it through anything. We're going to make it through any of that stuff. So it actually rekindled my faith in the human race, of being able to solve problems and really get through anything. And yeah, COVID did open the eyes for the world. As we're on Zoom here, no promo, we're all using video calls to now satisfy things on a daily basis. Pre-COVID, that wasn't a thing. My 70-year-old plus mother now knows how to use Zoom because of COVID. That helped. I believe that helped. My opinion, again, strictly my opinion. So yeah, COVID accelerated. It stepped on the gas pedal, it downshifted, popped the clutch, and let's go, right? It definitely got the world to realize that technology is here And now you're seeing all of these cool variants and all the cool stuff that's coming out of it, which is stimulating more jobs, more business, more consumption of more spending money in various ways.
So, Sam, I have a question for you relevant to that. And because, I mean, you run an organization called We Make Movies. Did this help We Make Movies and help creators to like have a forcing function to get out on the ground and like start making content better, faster?
Well, here's the thing is, look, in the end, the reason I do all of it is to there's a reason we got into this business, or most of us got into this business, which is to make stuff that we're interested in and passionate about, right? And what happens, and what I see happen to most people in this business is they find 1,000 professional excuses to never make the stuff they care about, and they just bounce from one distraction to the next. And I'm as guilty of that as anybody. And so the reality is, what happened is, we were this in-person community in Los Angeles, and we probably made 1,000 projects over the course of 10 years. Nobody saw any of them, and that was fine. And then we scattered digitally, and now we've been able to take this concept and scale it digitally and connect endlessly more places. But I don't know that we've made as many projects, And so as I look at this, my hope, right, is this digital infrastructure is going to help us take this concept that existed in this weird little theater in Los Angeles every Wednesday for the better part of 10 years and scale this out so that more people can make projects affordably that don't bankrupt them the way that typical independent film does. That's my hope, is that this can become an art form, because film is really the only art form that up until this point most people could not afford to make. And I think that's finally changing because of a lot of what's going on, which is also commoditizing it. But for the average independent filmmaker who was never going to make any money from it anyway, it's probably fine. So my hope actually is that it enables more people to make creatively satisfying projects and share them with the people that matter to them without costing them money, while we all go make money doing stuff in other ways. So I don't know if that completely answered the question, but that's what the pandemic did to We Make Movies, is I think it slowed us down to hopefully allow us to scale closer to our mission.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that. It's fundamentally the exact same thing, right? Like it's you got scattered around, but now the access to technology, we take it for granted, right? Obviously, your team is technically savvy, but COVID has forced everybody to become technical, right? Everyone now has a smartphone in their pocket, right? Everyone has the ability to do film potentially amazing, great content on that. COVID just accelerated that fact that people needed to get into that world. Wasn't necessarily a good thing, and a lot of people died. It's unfortunate, but from our aspect, we saw that acceleration. Now, we grew during COVID because we built more technology, we built more solutions. Was it any? It's a tough question I have to ask myself. Was it volume or was it quality? It's a tough one. Yeah. And then I'm touching because I'm Sam on what you said there, right? Are you making less? Are you making better quality? What did it actually do? I think I'll just throw that back at you. What is the result? Did you find is the quality better? Is it any different, or?
Well, it's different. So we used to cater to a bunch of filmmakers in Los Angeles who could not afford to make their independent features. So we figured out how to make shorts, and we developed each other's work, and we did all of this to immediately what happened during the pandemic, where like oddly, we figured out how to teach orphans in 20 countries around the world without me leaving my kitchen table, by sending them gear and leveraging Zoom to teach them how to make movies with the cell phones in their pockets and edit them on used Macs we were sending them. And so I've literally got kids on 5 continents, including Haiti. I'll give you the example. This kids in Haiti, this sums up what was possible, right? So literally an orphanage in Haiti that we were working with. These kids are all orphans. and their parents were killed, many of them in an earthquake about 10 years ago, like 2008, 2010. Anyway, the pandemic started. We sent them a bunch of gear, which tell you about how hard it is to get gear into Haiti. But we got it, and it's worse now. This story is going to break your heart, and cut me off if it gets boring. But but there's a point here, which is so we started our first Zoom class, and I kid you not, 5 days later, there was an earthquake at that orphanage that destroyed the orphanage. These kids who had the trauma of having their parents killed by the orphanage just went through another orphanage, had their orphanage destroyed. And we were like, and I was like, that's awful. I connected with these kids. Their orphanage is gone. And now our program to teach independent filmmaking, which I'm like, in the grand scheme of things, is pointless, right? You know, compared to what they're going through. Except 2 days later, we got an email being like, when's the next class? And these kids had found the one spot in a field to go bring that they were getting reception to tether their Macs to do it, to get the class in there, to turn this on so they could go back and like learn stupid filmmaking classes, because that's the only thing they had going while their orphanage was destroyed in the middle of a war-torn country being run by gangs. And like, I'm busy teaching them independent filmmaking and how to make movies with their iPhones, that then they went off. They started making numerous shorts to the point where this kid got a scholarship into film school, then couldn't get there because he went to the Haitian embassy and they asked him one question and they didn't let him out to get his full ride scholarship. So he had to wait another year, got it again. We're still waiting to get him out of there. But like, this is an absurd story I'm stating to you right now, but it all is true. And I'm teaching these kids and have relationships with kids in Haiti and in 5 other countries who are orphans who never in their wildest dreams could have do this. It was insane to even think I could teach filmmakers in Los Angeles to make movies for free, but I'm teaching kids in Haiti.
How can I help?
Can you?
Because I want to help. Because I'm listening to what you're doing, and I want to help. I don't know how. We should talk offline, but we should let's have that conversation because we have access to technology. We have access to all these cool things. How can I help you do that better? If that's something you guys are still doing, we want to help. Again, we could use technology to solve problems.
I got to get you connected to Andy Stein from the Orphan Starfish Foundation that we're running all these sites with. If you really want to help, we'll get absolutely. A call together and like it's game on, because like there's so much possibility and potential where literally and part of this is like we're teaching these kids regenerative agriculture. Part of it is they're learning robotics, and because you can connect teachers into these sites now, education in places that previously could not have it before is now possible. So if you want to change the world, it's like through education, and that can happen through connectivity.
I'm a firm believer of that, and Jace may have not heard this back in the day, but one day when I have enough money where I don't have to worry about money, I'm going to step back and teach. Right, what you're doing. That's why I'm excited when you're telling me you're teaching people. That's all. Like I got videos that I've made internally to train employees, but I'm like, my passion is when I can see that little light bulb turn on. Right. And I'll sit there and make sure that I can get that. And specifically in the video side of like the video transmission portion, like there's no school to teach you what we do here at Nextologies. There's no school. After you produce that content, after you make that film or make that television channel, there is no school that teaches you what you have to do next with it. And I'd love to, in some capacity, either teaching or whatever it is, or technology solutions, our Zoom-like clone we have, any of that stuff that we can help out with, we'd love to be part of that and help you out in any capacity, because it's needed. That's what's needed. That's what we should be using technology for, is use that power to teach. And that's what Starlink is going to give us the ability to do. Get some Starlinks down there and donate that and gift them, right? Let's help out people who need it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Game on. Well, I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation. So, look, I think my personal view on all of it is at a certain point we all need to figure out how to level up the world versus like spinning our wheels, like solving, or
Is that domain taken? Level up the world. I think we should register that domain. It's already taken. Can you believe it's already taken? Come
It's all
on. I love that. Level up the world. That's exactly right. Sam, you're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. We have to level up the world.
Is .io taken? I mean, because there's subdomains. We can just go to a .org.
We'll play with it
.net.
offline. We'll discuss it after the podcast.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're getting close to time. So we've been asking a lot of questions to you, Sasha. Do you have any questions for us?
Why aren't you doing this daily?
Well, you know what I do for a day job, so that's the real reason. And as well as Sam is a workaholic, always crushing it. So, I mean, look.
The only reason this started is because like Jason and I have these conversations regularly, and finally we're just like, should we just like do a podcast and kind of, because and the thing is I'm tired of just talking about video and codecs and NLEs and all of this stuff. I'd much rather have wider conversations, but like, you're like, if you're going to do this all the time, you have to have a lane. But if I do this once a week with Jace and we pull on somebody cool, then like it's just something we're doing for fun that maybe people listen to.
Yeah, Sam has like a cult following, by the way, inside like the edit community, right? And like one thing I wanted to do more than anything is I wanted to show people that this man is so incredibly intelligent, and then he's so much more than Sam that sits up on stage and says, "This is how you edit in Final Cut Pro."
I'd sign up for those classes. I know enough to be dangerous in Final Cut, but I need help there for sure.
Well,
no, you guys are doing a great job.
How satellite works, and I'll teach you Final Cut.
I'll easy. No problem. I love when the fact that you want to know, that you even jokingly want to know. I'm going to tell you. No, but I saw the post on LinkedIn, and right away I watch it. I'm like, oh, this is great, Jace. Anytime you guys want to have a banter, philosophical things, world things, technology things, I'd love to help you guys out and be part of the podcast. And you got a fan here that's going to watch and like and subscribe, and try to get it on as many platforms as possible, because that, I think, is the success to any of that stuff. So Apple and Spotify and all of that stuff.
Just so you know, I text Sam approximately 0.3 milliseconds after you put a post on the LinkedIn. I was like, "Oh my God, Sam, I found our first guest." He's like, "Yeah, man, full send, let's go."
Yeah,
dude, you're the type of guest we want, man, because the thing is, you bring a knowledge base and an understanding at a scale that like nobody gets to hear about that perspective. So if you're listening to this show and you don't like that, well, sorry, listen elsewhere. There's a billion other podcasts.
Hey, this is not a stock investment podcast where we could be liable for suggesting things. This is
not financial advice.
It's not financial advice, right? This is my opinion through my experience, my limited experience as now being a 46-year-old man. It's my experience in my life, right? The fundamental thing that I'll leave everyone with as we come up to the hour here is this: stop chasing the dollar and chase your love, your passion, your dream. Sam, I'm sure, doing that based on what 5 seconds of me or 59 minutes of talking to you. I got lucky in 2007. Someone was going to pay me $18 an hour to essentially play with a computer, right? And work on a computer, which, grateful for the opportunity and experience I got from my father buying me a computer when I was 12 years old. And I'm getting paid to do that. I haven't worked since 2007. And I encourage anyone who's listening or watching or any capacity here, is to chase what you love. Don't chase the dollar. The dollar will come on its own. Trust me, I'm that guy. It's not a motivational podcast, but I'm just giving you my 2 cents on how I chase life and what sort of drives me every day. Doesn't matter what time, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, midnight. If you're at a job clocking out at 5 o'clock and can't wait to get home, that's the wrong job.
100%. But the other thing I'll add to that is something you talked about earlier, which is getting in with good people and having quality people around you that you work with, because that's if you are around people who bring you down all the time and you are around people who are cutting you down, not only are you in the wrong job, but you're in with the wrong people. And there's people out there that you can connect with and vibe with. And that's part of what this show's about, honestly, is to honestly attract more of those people into our respective circles, because like I want to be inspired. I want to get around people who know more than me, and we figure out how to level everything up. And I don't want my time wasted with people who suck.
Yeah. I'm willing to teach. I'm willing to invest time to teach. No problem, right? I'll be quote unquote the smartest guy in the room at that time. But as Steve Jobs said, if you're smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. And I agree. Fundamentally, you're saying that you surround yourself with people you want to be like, you want to absorb, you want to learn from, and who are like-minded. And I couldn't agree with you more, Sam.
Well, even if you're educating or teaching people, I mean, like those people will teach you about something else, but it's the right mentality, right? It's people who want to suck you dry versus people who want to build something with you. And you want to surround yourself with the people who want to build something with you.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Wow, guys. I mean, I don't really think we can top it. I mean, this is that was a pretty good button. We're 3 minutes early, but I think we should wrap it up. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good to go.
You're good?
Get out on a high note.
And on a high note. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming together. Look, I love and respect you both, and being able to share this stage with you today is an honor. It's a true honor. I've learned so much from each of you, and it was a real blast getting to chat with you.
Likewise.
Yeah, definitely.
Sasha,
definitely.
anytime you want to come back, doors wide open. Blow our minds and do some research for us too, because we didn't even really unpack a lot of the stuff. I'd actually take a few hours just to get into the details of the various.
The podcast will get too long and too boring. We got to segment it, right? Yeah. So I think it's a great primer here getting started, and I couldn't agree with you more on that one. So yeah, let's see where this goes and try to get you guys some traction on the podcast, and hopefully other people will follow.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for this episode. So, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform that you're listening or watching on. And we'll catch you here next time on the ELAV8 podcast. Peace.